Have questions you want to ask us about writing, about the book specifically, about movies, about our opinions on politics, which are very uninformed, you're welcome to ask. So, Holly, bring the sexy vampires.
Okay, so let me explain what I'm doing here. So, first of all, nobody has seen this, including my editor. I have about another week to finish working on it, but this is the beginning, so hopefully it won't change too much, but I have no idea because she hasn't seen it yet. So I've come here to experiment on you and see what you think of it. It is a vampire book, and obviously I'm just a crazy person who doesn't care about anything. Because, people are like, really? You're writing a vampire book? But I have always loved vampires. And I, thought I would like to write a crazy vampire book, so tell me what you think. Even though Sarah's on Team Human. Alright. Tana woke lying in a bathtub. Her legs were drawn up, her cheek pressed against the cold metal of the faucet. A slow drip had soaked the fabric on her shoulder and wetted locks of her hair. The rest of her, including her clothes, was still completely dry, which was kind of a relief. Her neck felt stiff, her shoulders ached. She looked up dazedly at the ceiling, at the blots of mold grown into a blurry Rorschach pattern. For a moment, she felt completely disoriented. Then she scrambled up onto her knees, skin sliding on the enamel, and pushed aside the shower curtain. The sink was piled with plastic cups, beer bottles, and askew hand towels. Bright, buttery sunlight streamed in from a small window above the toilet, interrupted only by the swinging shadows made by the garland of garlic hung above it. A party, right? She'd been at a sundown party. She said, her fingers on the curtain to steady herself, popping 3 rings off the rod with her weight. The temples of her head throbbed dully. She remembered getting ready, putting on the jangling bracelets that still chimed together when she moved, and the heavy oxblood boots that took forever to lace up and were mysteriously no longer on her feet. Remembered the way she'd lined her eyes in shimmering black and kissed the mirror for good luck. Everything got a little blurry after that. Levering herself up, Tana climbed over the edge of the tub and stumbled to the faucet. There, she splashed water on her face. Her makeup was smudged, lipstick smeared across her cheek, mascara spread like a stain. The white baby doll dress she'd borrowed out of her mother's closet was ripped at the sleeve. Her black hair was a tangled mess that finger combing didn't do a lot to fix. She looked like a dissipated mime. The truth was that she was pretty sure she passed out in the bathroom while avoiding her ex Aiden and his new girlfriend. Everyone had been playing The Lady or the Tiger, where you use a coin to pick heads if you want to bet on the lady, or tails if you want to bet on the tiger. Then a bigger coin, the coin of fate, is dropped, and if you picked wrong, you drink. After that had been a lot of dancing and some more swigs from a bottle of whiskey. Aiden had urged Tana to make out with his sulky-mouthed, strawberry-haired girlfriend, the one who wore a patent leather leash around her throat, saying it would be like an eclipse of the sun and the moon in the sky, a marriage of all things dark and light. You mean an eclipse of sun and the moon in your pants, Tana had told him. But he had been doggedly, infuriatingly persistent. And as the whiskey sang through her blood and sweat slicked her skin, a dangerously familiar recklessness filled her. With a face like a wicked cherub, Aiden had always been hard to say no to. Worse, he knew it. Sighing, Tana opened the bathroom door, not even locked, so people could have been coming in and out all night with her right there behind the shower curtain, and how humiliating was that, and padded into the hall. The smell of spilled beer filled the air, along with something else, something metallic and charnel sweet. The television was on in the other room, and she could hear the low voice of a newscaster as she walked toward the kitchen. Lance's parents didn't care about him having sundown parties at their old farmhouse, so he had one almost every weekend, locking the doors at dusk and keeping them barred until dawn. She'd been to plenty, and the mornings were always full of shouting and showers, boiling coffee, and trying to hack together breakfast from a couple of eggs and scraps of toast, and long lines for the bathrooms, with people beating on the doors if you took too long. Everybody needed to pee, to take a shower, and change their clothes. Surely that would have woken her. But if she had slept through it, and everyone was already out at a diner, they would be laughing it up, joking about her unconscious in the tub, all kinds of stupid stuff that she'd have to hear repeated over and over at school. Since she'd refused to go along with Aiden's scheme to get himself a thrill the night before, she was sure he'd be particularly rotten. The kitchen was empty, spilled booze and orange soda pooling on the countertops. being soaked up by a smattering of potato chips. Tana was reaching for the coffee pot when, across the black and white linoleum floor just on the other side of the doorframe to the living room, she saw a hand, its fingers stretched out as if in sleep. She relaxed. No one was awake yet, that was all. Maybe she was the first one up, although when she thought back to the sun streaking through the bathroom window, it had seemed high in the sky, the way it only gets in the afternoon. The longer she looked at the hand, though, the more she noticed it seemed oddly pale, the skin around the fingernails bluish. She had to force herself to carefully put the pot back on the counter and to keep walking, step after step, until she was across the threshold and into the living room. Then she had to force herself not to scream. The tan carpet was stiff and black with stripes of dried blood, painted like a Jackson Pollock canvas. The walls were smeared with it, handprints and spatter dotting their dingy beige surfaces, and the bodies, people she'd seen every day since kindergarten, people who she'd played with and cried over and kissed, were lying at odd angles, their bodies pale and cold, their lips bluish, and their eyes staring like rows of dolls in a shop window.
Wow.